You'll never understand. None of you. What we've had to keep covered up all these long years.
No, it's the no music part.
Oh, sorry.
Renzik just starts making the sounds in the courtroom, going to get really quiet.
Bum 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 bum.
Sorry. Silence makes me uncomfortable.
There's
very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb. The truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out.
And if you decided not to, it's very possible that Courtney Scythe will escape punishment for her crime. Please, sir, own up to what you've done and tell the court the truth about what happened. 10 years ago, you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for. To sever the hold that fate had over you all these years.
Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. I mean, really. It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent. They can't even get that right.
That's rough.
And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities.
Hey, don't talk about my friend like that.
They go on and on about their wonderful hypotheses, their stupid eyes shining like a little child's.
Dude, uncalled for.
They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness. Careful, Mr. Drebber. I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim?
A sham spear.
Yes, I admit it. I did it all in the name of revenge.
Revenge.
I promise you, Maria.
Live and learn!
Revenge for the future that Mr. Asman's article had deprived you of 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asman, did it?
Which is where that particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. And your account of those events was all true. Then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge when it happened.
Why, did it cost more than 500 scalpels?
There just aren't enough envelopes to mail all the scalpels in all of Great Britain. And even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had.
So your plan required that you abduct that particular waxwork model, in order to exact your revenge in Scotland Yard as well. Or on Dr. Scythe, to be precise. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asman turned up in my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye. About the coroner who'd handled that bogus autopsy, being appointed head of a new forensic team. When I learnt that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan.
What a horrid tale!
He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him. For revenge.
Revenge.
And have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time.
You're doing a really good job, by the way.
I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I'd had to suffer.
Whoa!
Goulian said, why can't it ever just be a simple murder? Your actions against those who'd ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis, but he had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man.
Is that necessary?
I...
Lord Van Zix, what of Dr. Scythe?
An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted and been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial days along with Mr. Drebber.
A most regrettable situation indeed. You've made great contributions to our profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, this is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain.
Oh, yes.
It seems there is a great deal more to experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sort of details were brought to light.
Goulian said, I like how they call him a young man even though he's 30. Not being sarcastic or anything genuinely like that.
Yeah, especially in like Japanese content, when if you're like 25, you're like a spinster.
Thinks of Raven from Tales of Vesperia. Who's literally in his late 20s, and they call him old man.
Raven from That's So Raven.
That's why I had to specify.
I mean, Cory in the House is my favorite anime, so...
What a coincidence. Cory in the House is my favorite Isuke.
That's definitely how you pronunciate that one.
Isuke.
Isuke. Oh, did you like Cory in the House? Isuke.
I think we can assume that all the sort of detail brought to light. It has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you're absolved of all guilt.
What?
This whole experience has taught me a very great but painful lesson. I've been, me, this dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy. I've been selfish and self-centered, and above all, a fool. Professor, I spent my life thinking of nothing but my research. Skydarily believing that I can do whatever I set my mind to, despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process, I've caused others pain and misery. Others who are far, far greater people than I.
No, Professor. That's not true.
What?
Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You are not to blame in any way.
Lord Van Zix,
and the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. He's right. I mean, the man has no idea how foolish you truly are. To believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dream. That's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices.
Oh. Thank you, Brock.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. It is the court's expectation that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge which he stands accused.
Cool name said Venzeeks, you can be nice. Wooden man has a heart.
I presume there are no objections.
None from me, my lord.
I actually have a combo. Certainly not.
This trial has really made me think, but this is the right decision.
ASMR corn chewing in the background. It's been proven methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever. What was that? He's done, is he? It's all over?
I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I recognize the place. Very well. In that case, I pronounce the defendant.
Not guilty.
Confet.
Confet.
That's young children's slang for confetti.
A singular piece of confetti is actually confetto.
I was gonna say it's probably confetto.
Confetto is my favorite puppeteer who makes a puppet
Court is adjourned.
out of paper mache. Becomes a real boy.
It's over. That was some trial. Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it?
Oh, it is! It is! Congratulations, Professor Hairbrain!
Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Zero. I'm truly beside myself with gratitude. How can I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's been cleared up, that you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Ah! Right now, if I had the research grant money. Ah! I'd give the whole lot to you. Every penny. That's not what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah, you're gonna void the terms of the contract.
That's very kind, but I'm just a student, so...
We don't need any financial reward. Your acquittal is more than enough.
Oh dear. What can I do? Aha! How about this? As a memento. The paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just as a memento then, thank you. Listen, I'd be excited to have that tiny
I'd be
journal.
so excited. Tiny journal.
I'd be like, this is going to be the centerpiece of my room.
It's a coffee table book. People will definitely talk about it. I've been wondering, Professor. What are you going to do now?
Oh my. Yes. What am I going to do? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition once I'm here, too, and see if new inspiration hits me.
Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea.
It's here.
I don't know. I can't allow that.
Why is that your default every time?
It's gonna be my default forever. It's gonna be my default in the next game series we play.
Lord Van Zeeks, what are you doing here?
It's gonna be a temporal being that crosses space-time.
Brooke!
I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert.
Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You're like a great demon behind a bench there, snarling down here to prey. Look, he Hairbrain's into it though. He's like, you were like a great demon.
Oh, shimmy, shimmy.
Like that's the man I missed.
You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution or the defense.
Sorry? Or the defense? Did I just hear that right?
He respects us. He respects us.
As much as he can respect a filthy Nipponese.
Don't say that. They're gonna quote you out of context.
No! Keep contact, please! I always knew that you had my best interests at heart, don't worry. Ah, how about you show me around whilst I'm here in the town? It's been a long time since we left the university. We have a lot to catch up on.
Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, let's head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you.
Whoa.
What?
From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets.
But no! Hold on a minute, Baroque. What about the Great Exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me. I want to look around.
No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea.
Ugh. Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Baroque. Lord Van Zeeks.
They've definitely dated.
What's all this about? Yeah, cool, man. I was exaggerating.
A necessary precaution. Yes, I think I understand.
You do?
Yeah, the Reaper of the Bailey. Ugh.
Well, Iris told me when you met Lord Van Zeeks at his office some days ago. He asked how Mr. Natsume was doing.
Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time. I think it was nice of him to ask.
The point is, Mr. Natsume is still alive and well. Even though it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as a prosecutor.
Ah, you mean... The Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas?
Those in the Reaper's sights meet the end days or sometimes months after the acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now. But of course, we know that both Mr. Natsume and Gino were completely innocent. True. Perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend.
Broke.
Like the mustached Nipponese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once.
Right. Does a friend-shaped package get any say in it?
Goodness! Was this your intention all along then, Lord Van?
In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless. And yet, sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all.
It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being.
I mean, he asked her till the paper was there. Yes, alright. Well then, Mr. Naruto. Thank you so much for everything. Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you.
Best wishes, Professor Hairbrain.
Well, once the dust is settled, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now. William said, yeah, at the very least, they dated for like a week in college, most likely more. You love Van Zeke, seems like he'd be a good boyfriend. I mean, yeah, he's like, seems cold, but he has like, clearly he's considerate. Racist, but considerate.
Yikes.
You know how there's that like nice but not kind versus kind but not nice thing?
Yeah.
I never remember
Like
which
me.
is which, but he's one of them.
I am kind but not nice. I've accepted that about myself.
Keep forgetting his racist cool name.
Whereas I think Von Zieks is the same. He's kind but not nice.
Yeah, and I have trouble believing that Van Zieks and Hairbrain did not date. Like, there's chemistry there.
There's true, like, I've been really good about not sexualizing male relationships in previous games and stuff. Like Kazuma and Renosuke. Like, it's important to validate male relationships in platonic ways. But, like, I really do think that there's, like, a huge text that they were very, like,
More than
intimately
friends.
close. Yeah, at the very least.
They were more than friends. They were best friends.
Gal pals, if you will. If there's a term for gal pals for men. Best bros. Now, my Nipponese friend.
Oh, yes. I thought you'd gone too.
We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time?
You went to talk with me.
Oh.
I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes.
Butterflies.
Well, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time. The enigma, Baroque Van Zieks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. Here goes, then.
Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Ooh, 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 ooh.
So are you satisfied? You saved a guileless scientist from a great injustice.
Yes, I think so.
Ba-da-ba-da-da.
I'm relieved, at least, that the man's innocence could be proven.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da. Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you Nipponese comes.
Please give me your tragic backstory as to why you hate Japanese people.
Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagine you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here.
I mean, that's all accurate, but
But now I think differently.
no. It's everything you said.
You
Ellipses.
clearly know our ways. So I'd guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my race.
I mean, if you put it that way.
Will you tell me what happened, please?
The professor.
This is like the first time we hear this song, isn't it?
I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest. He took your brother's life.
I love that they're sitting in their desks. Like, why? Just like stand near each other.
Are they
You're
not? They're
weirdo.
standing.
Well, yeah, but they're like standing across from each other in court.
That's just how they're comfortable talking.
I guess so.
This is
Look
my
at how
safe
awful
place.
their interaction was when they tried to went to Van Zieks' room. They need to be like on the other side of a room.
I need you far enough away so you can't point out flaws in everything that I say and do. Clint, my brother was Clint Von Zieks.
Like the Pokemon.
That's Clang Clang.
I thought that's what it evolves into.
Clint Von Zieks.
Clint Clank.
Only in the Hisui region.
16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens, I was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be.
Susanna just like watery, tear-eyed over the corner.
He was involved in the establishment of justice system in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations too, to share knowledge and ideas.
Cool name. Suzato clearly was invited, because, like, Van Zieks brought his assistant.
Not Kazuma.
As part of one of those programs. 3 judicial students came to Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan.
Oh. It was 16 years ago then. One of them could have been my father.
Of course. I remember Dr. Mikotoba well.
Like, this entire time he knew her dad, and he knew that he knew her dad.
We were actually best friends.
I had no idea.
/ lovers.
I take many a
I am your
lover.
mother.
Ah! Listen, don't give Cool Name more fodder for their fan fiction.
I was a minor at the time. Oh no! Training at the prosecutor's office. One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponese.
So you're actually met my father.
We're friends. Oh, but was that just did we create that
We
canon?
recreated that. He just said he knew
Oh.
him well.
Oh, okay. Oh man, that's how quickly my brain
who
just
knew well
accepts
who he
facts.
was? He remembered him well. That's what he said.
I literally, my brain is just such a sponge for information right now. Like the plot is happening that you can say anything and I'll probably believe it for perpetuity.
He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponese spirit, and it made a great, very great impression upon me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims.
There were 5 people.
In the end, my brother became one of them. Last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved.
Maybe I'm just desensitized to mass murders at this point in our society. That 5 people doesn't seem like a huge
Hachimachi.
mass murder situation. But
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks, truly.
Cliff was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. So he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one was able to catch the man sooner ceased to be such a mystery. Been hiding in plain sight all the time.
In plain sight.
Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extreme sensitive diplomacy between the British and the Japanese empires.
A new treaty was being forged, I think.
Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation is being concluded.
The
What?
I turned it into an acronym.
Oh.
The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted in a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our 2 nations could very well have ended up in a war.
What? A war? Between Britain and Japan?
But that would mean, oh my, you mean to say the professor was...
When the trial reached its conclusion earlier, I thought to myself, yes, it's time.
Oh.
Oops. Oh.
Time for you to come face to face with this hideous monster. I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum. So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It's Ryunosuke!
Ah!
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
Until now, the thought never even crossed my mind. That the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before, was Japanese.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
What?
That face. I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Oh.
Father.
What? Father?
He awakens to his persona. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Kazuma!
Wait, it's Kazuma?
My best friend, Kazuma Asogi. After a whole year, finally his memories returned.
So handsome.
As he stood there before me,
His hair blowing in the wind in the courtroom.
Ryunosuke.
Ugh.
Hello again. My friend.
Take out your sword. Take out your sword.
Assistant Mikotoba.
Try to kill them.
It's been a very long road. Thank you. Thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
It was an honor.
Oh, this is dope.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily. Kazuma.
I owe you thanks, too, for taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh. Karuma, the great blade of the Asogi clan, passed down through the generations. When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. The Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it. But then, when the incident happened, it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword, and I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared.
Is that the Hachimaki headband wrapped around the blade this entire time?
Is it?
By my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
Now he has a katana and a European
rapier.
sword.
Yeah, it's not even a rapier.
I think it's just a sword.
I've made it. At last. Father.
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean, you knew all this time? I'm looking at it. But I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
And now he's dead.
Kazuma-sama.
I keep waiting for him to heel turn. Start killing.
Ryunosuke, we have much to talk about, but now is not the time.
He said, "Sir, you're gonna have to pay for that."
Yeah. Madame Tussauds is just like,
Didn't she
up.
say her thing has to be shut down anyways now? So
why?
the controversy with the professor case or something.
That's all Kazuma said.
Oh yeah, because she snuck and saw it and stuff, and they were like, "What you did was a crime, and you can't have that open still if that has his real identity under there."
Before he turned and left us there in the courtroom.
Where's Von Zeeks?
Right there.
he's just standing there in the corner. He's like,
Oh, this is a very personal moment. I should probably move stage left so they can have their time.
it's like he was right next to the wax model. And then suddenly he's just like,
He backed
like-
up.
he's like Dragon Ball Z teleported out of the way.
So he's the living after image of the man who took my brother's life, is he?
Yes, Kazuma Asogi, my best friend.
No, Ryunosuke, please. 3 months ago when Strong introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there, some connection.
But why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Panzeek's apprentice? When he was suffering amnesia, too.
The man was apprehended, even executed. But his legacy just won't die. It's the sad truth.
He wasn't a heel the whole time, Shady.
Anyway, that's all I have to say. I thank you for meeting me when I asked.
Pshoo! Hey, Ryunosuke, we should probably leave. They're gonna think we cut this wax model. We're gonna get in a lot of trouble.
There is a witness.
Yeah, we can't be our own witnesses in trial. That's not wax.
Van Zeeks is on our side now.
He's gonna prosecute against us. It's gonna be terrible. We're gonna go to jail.
No, we're cool now. We're cool.
Well, 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. Yeah, we know this story already. We met up when we were there to meet my father from the train. For me, it was the first time I'd ever seen him.
Poor Susato-san. Well, this is tied up with painful memories for her, too. She never talked about this with me before, though.
It took me time to adjust to having father around. But just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me to his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son. A boy, 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant.
And that's the entire reason she became a judicial assistant.
Plot, 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 plot!
Just because she met this random boy who was like, I want to be a defense lawyer. Oh, I want to help. I'll plan my entire life around that.
My entire life is to help you. That's rough. Ellipses. I'm sure you've worked out. That young man's name
I
was Jesus Christ. Guitar solo. What were you saying?
finish your line.
Was Kazuma Sogi.
Cool name. Just said Susato may be the oldest of the three, but she seems like the most mature. And yeah, I think he meant the youngest.
She's actually Benjamin Button disease, so she's actually like turning younger.
So
You see-
so she's actually like 400.
Yeah, she's the eldest, but she has Benjamin Button. disease.
She's the Elden Ring.
No! George R. R. Martin would like to know your location.
So you see, that's how he and I met.
Isn't a lot happened? You're
For a brief
confused.
moment, my great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon. But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time. As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking.
Boys in motion.
In some ways, it was the end
Sorry,
of a
that was
chapter,
Raven's.
but in many, it was the start
That's for
of a
Raven
new
reference.
one.
You're really talented at Gregorian throat voice acting. You can read 2 lines at once. It's
I was
impressive.
reading that.
Don't you voice Renosuke? I thought that
Oh,
was you. the
have a
entire
good night,
time.
cool name. Yeah, that was definitely me the entire time.
Ooh. Achibo.
The demasking.
Mask to mask.
Mask. Or damask.